Welcome, ladies, to the Real Estate Investor Show, providing inspiration, strategies, and insight to empower women investors to live balanced and financially free lives. Now, here are your co-hosts, Liz and Andressa.
Nancy Wallace-Laabs has more than 15 years of real estate investing experience, owns several rental properties, flips and manages properties in the Dallas, Texas area. Nancy is a licensed real estate broker and together with her husband owns KBN Homes, a real estate investment company that's making neighborhoods great again, one home at a time. On today's show, we cover so much with Nancy, including the number one tip when managing property, biggest mistakes to avoid in landlording, the power of seller financing, a mind-blowing strategy to differentiate yourself with homeowners in competitive markets, and the power of problem solving. Welcome back, ladies. This is Liz.
And this is Andressa.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Investor Show. You like how slow I'm saying that? Invest her.
Yes.
Got to make sure we make sure we say it slowly. But anyway, welcome back. Excited to have another episode here where we get into the minds of some amazing, successful ladies doing this business of investing, and we throw in some mini-sodes where we tell you about different aspects of our business and just share some lessons and all that good stuff. And we're creating a neat community and all that good stuff. So welcome, Nancy, to the show.
Thank you. Love to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to jump into your awesome story. But before we do that, as we like to do, just kind of get connected to all you amazing women listening to us, and we thank you so much for that. Andressa, what's up? What's new and exciting?
I want to share with you guys. You probably heard me talking about gratitude, right? The exercise of being grateful in a daily basis. And to be very honest with you, I failed miserably trying to do this thing because it's just like meditation, right? It's just who you are in life. And I want to prioritize that. However, it seemed to me that life was getting on my way all the time. And then when I lay down in bed, I was like, I forgot to be grateful. I forgot to write that down. Or in the morning, I was like, I forgot. So then I was cleaning up a couple of boxes. And then I found this journal called 5-Minute Journal. I was like, oh, I bought this. What is this?
Don't you love that when you find things that you bought and you never use?
Right. So this is like a 5-minute journal where in the morning you write 3 things that you're intentionally grateful for. Not like what you must be grateful for, but what your feelings are, right? I'm grateful for, my son's, he gave me a beautiful hug yesterday. It was so meaningful and kind. I'm grateful for that. So then I start putting this book in the bathroom. Well, I got to brush my teeth, right? At least. So it's there. So I know that in the morning when I am there, I'm doing that. And during the night when I'm brushing my teeth again before going to bed, it's there. So I do it again. And I'm telling you, it's working. So if you want to give it a try, I can put on, on the show notes, the link for that. But It's just a different mindset of waking up with that very conscious mindset of what I'm going to be focusing on today. And then at the end of the day, you look back and so many things, great things happen that I want to be grateful for, and going to bed with that mentality. It's just something that now it's working. It's in my bathroom. I cannot miss that. So I just want to share with you guys.
Yeah, I love that, Andressa, because I think it's easy to be grateful when things are going well, right? It's like, life's going great and, you landed a deal and this is great. And then something just sucks. It happens to you,
Yes.
To be perfectly blunt. And then that's when you actually need to feel grateful. That's when it's actually most important. So I love what you're saying because it's a habit, right? So if you're doing it every day, you're going to have stuff that goes great and things that don't. So, and then I love how you're saying, put it in the bathroom. I heard once someone too, talk about this at a conference. If you want to review your goals, put them by your toothbrush, because if you're going to put them somewhere you're actually going to look at every day.
Yes.
So I love That's a great reminder. So thanks for sharing. I'll put that in the show notes, the
Yes.
5-minute journal.
Yeah. Cool.
So without further ado, Nancy, thanks again for being here with our amazing listeners. Mostly ladies. We do hear that men do listen to our show, which is great. Hey, all the merrier. Certainly helps with our downloads. But certainly our show is dedicated to women. That's what our niche is. And that's what we're in the business of trying to support. So as we jump into your story, we'd love to hear from you. You've been in this business for quite some time. What compelled you? What pulled you in initially into real estate investing? Because there's a lot we can do with our time. And why real estate investing? So we'd love to hear that from you, and then we'll kind of
get well, I had always had an interest in flipping. This was, I've been doing this for over 15 years, and I don't even know if there were that many HGTV shows out there. But, that sounds like such a cool thing. And so my story started, we actually lived in Phoenix, Arizona. And when the housing boom in 2005 was just going crazy in Phoenix, we had been in our house, which was just your basic house, for about 8 years. And we actually had been looking for a new house. And man, we started going to all of these, builders and open houses. And for what we already had, people were paying mega amounts of money for these houses. So we were like, that's interesting. So then in our own neighborhood, we started seeing houses flip, and we started looking at different houses, and literally, this is going to sound so bad, but we saw how much these houses were selling for, and we were like, dang, you can make some money here if you sell your house. Now, you had to move. And so literally, we took a leap of faith. We quit our jobs, put our house on the market. It sold within a couple of days, multiple offers. And in 3 weeks, we moved to Texas. Now, why Texas? Well, I'm originally from the Midwest. My husband's from Milwaukee, and we were looking for climate. We looked at the schools, and so we moved to Texas in 2005. And it was the first time I've always been in management, worked for corporations and everything. And so it was the first time I was able to kind of just sit back and say, what do I want to do next? And so the agent that ended up selling us our house, I said, hey, I really want to get into flipping. And she said, well, you need to meet this other lady. That's what she does. And so she literally handed me, when I got an appointment with her, and she literally handed me the Gary Keller, How to Become a Real Estate Millionaire, his blue book. She said, read this and call me. And so I read that thing in like a day and a half. And to this day, that's still my Bible. That's kind of the format for rentals that I use, very 322. And if you're into new investing, it's a great book to pick up. So she sold me my first rental property. And fast forward, I got into property management because I was just fascinated. And I wanted to manage my own properties. And I was just hooked. I was very passionate about it. Not only is it a good way to earn a living, but just all the people. I'm a very people person, and my niche has been to really help people that cannot sell their house on the open market. I am a real estate broker, but I don't do too much of the traditional real estate services. I have really found a niche with working with people there's a lot of people out there that can't put their house on the market. They don't have money for repairs, little hoarder situation, maybe somebody died, divorce. It goes on and on. And I just found that I was very good at solving problems, really solving people's problems with their house. It's usually one of the largest assets that people invest in, and sometimes they don't do a very good job of that actual investment, and they need another solution besides just putting it on the market. And fast forward, who knew that my career was going to end up, culminating in writing a book, and I've gotten into private money lending. We primarily do buy and holds, but I do fix and flips. And then a couple of years ago, I got into owner financing. So there's all kinds of different ways to help people in real estate. And I just love that. I'm so passionate about it.
Well, there's a lot, right, going on. So I want to dissect a couple of things.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with, like, when you say I got hooked with, property management, and it's rare to hear that.
It is, right?
Right, it is. And I was like, what about it?
It's not for the faint of heart, I'll tell you that. You know what? one of the skills that I have is I'm very organized, and in property management, you have got to be organized. And the other thing is I have such a way with people. Now, when I say that, like I'm saying that I've done a lot of HR training, I've managed people. I used to manage call centers, and, there's some people skill that go into being a property manager.
Absolutely. No
You have
doubt
to
about
treat
it.
people fair, but one of my rules is not to be friends, right? Because I just treat everybody with respect, and but being organized and also setting expectations up front. I actually developed, and we call it the Addendum A, but it takes the lease here in Texas is anywhere from 14 to 16 pages long. So I developed a tool that we call it the Addendum A, and I meet with all the tenants. It's a tenant orientation, and basically it breaks down the terms and the legal eagles basically of the lease into very straightforward terms. And we set the expectations up front. So being organized, setting the expectations, and I've made a good career. I'm one of the very few brokers here in Texas that have been certified by the Texas Real Estate Commission to teach other property managers how to manage. So we're not like a 500 door place. I never want to be that big, because that's kind of a sub side thing that I do when I meet other investors and whatnot. But yeah, I'm a pretty good property manager.
Nancy, what do you think are the biggest mistakes that investors make when managing property?
So the big one, I know you said there's a couple. One is, buying the property, not quite right. Now, if you do buy and hold, you can almost work your way out of a bad buy, almost always. But one of the things that I see time and time again is that they're too trusting, meaning they don't do their due diligence on their background checks. They make exceptions. I've actually helped people out that they let people move into their property and they didn't have the correct money. They'll let them write a personal check and then it bounces, or they'll let them move some of their things into their garage. So sometimes when investors, they just get excited and they just overlook that very simple process of the move-in. And because if you make a mistake there, you've got a big problem. I mean, fortunately in Texas, we're a pretty easy evict people state. I mean, it'll take you about 4 weeks, but who wants the cost and lost money and potential damage to your property? So I think the number one mistake I see is that people are not consistent in their background screening, and they don't do a good job in their background screening, and that's key.
Yep.
Great. And you mentioned seller financing, and we didn't, in the past interviews we mentioned it briefly, but we didn't dig deep into it. So seller financing, it seems to be a win-win situation for all parties. However, there are pros and cons.
Yes.
How can I make sure this specific deal or this specific situation it's appropriate for owner financing?
So, okay, there's a couple of ways I'm going to go here. So number one, the underlying mortgage is kind of key to owner financing. So for example, when I buy properties, I've done it both ways, where I've bought the property subject to, and then I've wrapped it, but I'm a pretty straight shooter, and I'm not going to let that seller that I bought the house from, I mean, we're kind of going through some things here in Texas. They're actually talking about changing that legislation where you either can't do a wrap or whatever, because there's been some bad apples that didn't pay that underlying mortgage. We've actually been able to pay cash for a couple houses, and then you don't have a problem, because then you just own or finance it. So two comments on that. One, when you're buying the property from a seller subject to, and you're going to wrap it, sometimes the seller needs money, so it takes a little bit of finesse to figure out what you're actually paying for the property. Now, for us, it's always kind of good to get it subject to, because they make more money in the long run. I can pay a little bit more money for the house. We did run into I'll just kind of give you like being grateful. I did run into a situation where I bought a property from a wholesaler. I was going to try and owner finance it, thinking it was not going to be an issue getting the underlying, because we were renting it, and then getting an underlying mortgage. And not all lenders are investor friendly. And so we spent a little bit too much time, and we had a private money lender that we needed to get paid off. So we ended up having to just sell that property. We just ended up flipping it because it just didn't work out with the numbers for what the lender wanted to give us to what we could sell it for. Because one of the keys when you're doing owner financing is the rents in the area, the payment that the person that you want them to pay shouldn't be more than the rent, because that's the whole idea, that they can, own a house for less than they could rent it for. So
do you have a percentage, Nancy, that you're looking for?
As far as what they pay,
the difference between what they're renting it for and what you're looking for?
We just try to we don't have a percent per se. We try to stay under houses that have an ARV of under 250, because it's really hard. Affordable housing is usually what we're targeting. So, 150,000, and you can usually get the payment, so we want to do like we use the 10% rule, the 1,500.
Okay.
And so we want to get the payment under 1,500, and that's including taxes and insurance. So depending on how you are buying the property and the underlying mortgage kind of dictates how you're going to do that. So if you buy it right, or subject to is usually the best way to go on trying to do owner financing. But we got a sweet deal. We paid $10,000 for a house, and we were able to owner finance it for $50,000. So that was a good deal.
Wow.
And we carried the note, and our terms were 20% down, so we were made whole. And then we carried the note for $40,000 for the next 15 years. So yeah, that was a good deal. So that one was a no-brainer. And we don't sell notes right now. We're not selling notes. We're creating them. We haven't really gotten to a situation where we're like, oh, hey, let's do this. But I did just learn about how to sell, break the note in half, which is probably another topic.
I
want to talk about it. But I'm getting ready to do my first one in a couple weeks. So I'm pretty excited about that. But basically what you do is for the borrower, for the guy that's buying the house, it's the same payment. But for those savvy note investors, they probably know what I'm talking about. What you literally make two notes, and the first note pays off any debt you have on the house, and then you keep a second lien position, and then write the paperwork in such a way that if ever the first lien forecloses, that you have first right to get that house back. So. Yeah, I met an investor that was giving me the scoop on that. So that's what I love about, you were asking me how I feel about this, or I'm so passionate, but I love talking to other investors and learning new ways. And I love sharing my story with new investors, because I think it's just, it's just a great network of people to be around.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Circling back to owner financing. So I'm listening to this and I'm listening to you speak about it. How would an investor know that a property or an opportunity is really, like, owner financing is maybe an opportunity? So how would I uncover, like, what would it look like for me to, like, oh, owner financing could be a way that this deal can happen?
Well,
really, is there a recipe, or is there like a profile, if you will?
Well, you know what, for me personally, I kind of look at houses that I might buy and hold. So one of the things with owner financing is that, buy and hold is a great way to build wealth, but if you're not really into managing properties or whatever, and you want passive income coming in and not have to worry about the repairs and the taxes, owner financing is a great way. So we look for location. And it's kind of the same rules with, like a 322 is going to be your best bet. But, the house that I was just talking about, it's in a very lucrative area, and it was a small house. I mean, it was probably not even 1,000 square feet, but it happened to be in downtown Fort Worth. And it's an up and coming booming house. And we marketed to the guy, and he was just ready to sell. And, we bonded over football.
There you go. A little rapport building. There you go.
I mean, because we were not the first investor to talk to him, but we were the first investor to kind of, when we talk to people, we want to find out about them, and we found out about the history of the house, and it had been in his family for 40 years, and it had been vacant for 5. So he was just ready. He traveled a lot, and we just caught him at the right time, and he liked what, I had to say, and we probably talked for 30 minutes about football, being a Cowboys fan here in Dallas. So.
But that's so important though, Nancy. I mean, most people are so busy. They want to just get it done, and people don't get to know people. And I think we take it for granted. We think everyone does that. But there's value to building a relationship, not just.
Exactly. And what I found, most sellers, they're not going to make a decision the first initial contact, whether you call them or, they've got to get to know you. And so we're family owned and operated. It's my KBN Homes actually stands for Kelsey, Brian, Nancy. That's
there you go.
And we're all about people. You know what I mean? I have been to appointments where, I'm just another investor that the sellers called, but our most successful deals are people that we have, cultivated. And, maybe it took, one family, I met them in January, and we didn't close on their house until the end of June. But they had a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of them. A lot of times these people are very emotionally tied to their house. They're just in distressed situations, which is very stressful.
Yeah.
But when you pile on somebody died, and then there's, family homes, and there's memories, and, they want to, one of the things we always try to do is leave something of the house, some memento, like whether it's a coach light on the door or an old door handle that we've just spray painted. And then if we're going to flip the house, or we're going in the rehab, and we invite the families back. And before we actually sell it to someone else or owner finance it or rent it, we'll invite them to the finished product, so then they can kind of see, so we keep them involved. And that's
unique.
Paid off very well, because then we get referrals.
Yeah.
That's super unique, Nancy. I've never heard that before.
Yeah. So we kind of cultivate that relationship ongoing. It's a really competitive market here in Dallas. It's crazy competitive. So you have to do what it takes to really cultivate. And like I said, we do, I'm doing marketing like everyone else, but we get probably 30% of our deals from referrals.
Wow. So if I'm somebody hearing you and I like, oh, she has these people skills, right? But I don't. So, oh my gosh. And I can, it's not my thing. So for the ladies that are listening, as you can see, building a report is just part of the process, and building that genuine report. That's what I really mean about it. But if you don't have that skills, if that does not bring joy, you've got to have somebody on your team that does that. It is just impossible.
And, we do. Well, one of the things we like doing too is we partner a lot with people. We'll have different, like I said, I'm a pretty organized person, kind of a control freak. We run our business a little way, but I love, one of my favorite things and why I wrote the book was I love mentoring new people. And that's not something I charge for. When I meet, I'll go have coffee with people, and I don't know everything. I just tell them my story. And I love partnering with people. So we'll partner with a new investor, whether they found the deal or we provide money, or then we just help them. And then when they, to kind of get through their first deal, or if they need someone to go talk with the seller, because I've been doing this for so long, and we have different options that we can offer people. That's been beneficial for other people. And I it makes me feel good. When people say, well, I helped another seller, and, and it does make me feel good, but don't forget, this is how we make our living. So I'm not in there to rob someone of their house. And I'm very upfront. This is how I put food on the table for my family. But I want to solve their situation with their house. And then with new folks, because there's so many new investors, I had a great mentor when I started out, and she really helped me not make huge financial mistakes. Like, everybody makes mistakes,
Yeah.
and we're going to make mistakes. The thing is to not go bankrupt when you're making a mistake.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Go bankrupt real quick with one or two bad deals. So one of my goals is with new folks is just to say, hey, you know what? Don't be emotional about your buy.
Yeah.
Don't I see new investors, they get so excited because they want to do the HGTV makeover. And it's like, well, you don't need to do that if this is a buy and hold. It doesn't need quartz countertops.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Not unless you're going to live there.
So I really, when I'm partnering and or mentoring, I really try to focus on that, treat it like a business, have some compassion, but remember you're in this for business, and, and you can do that all day long. But, sometimes I've had people call me up after the fact and say, oh, I got a house, Nancy, I'm so excited. Can you come and look at it? And then I'm like, don't over improve, whatever you do, and I'll try to help them. If I see that this could be a financial mistake, at least give them some ideas to minimize their financial risk.
Mm-hmm. I love that. There's a lot of great insight you're giving. I mean, I love what you said at the beginning too. I want to just circle back on that because I think the ladies listening, we often ask people, I went to a networking event last night, what do you do? And people will say, oh, I do wholesaling, I do buy and holds. Well, you know what? Actually, you don't do any of that. What you really do is you solve. I didn't say that, but I didn't say that. I'm like, no, you don't do that. No, I didn't do that. But I'm not that bold in front of people. But I'm thinking about what you're saying, and actually, that's really not what people do. They actually solve problems.
Yes.
And that's that was a beautiful thing you said. I mean, I love that you said it so eloquently, the way you put it out there, because that's really what we do as investors. We solve problems. The problem could be the investor who doesn't know what to do with their money. The problem could be the homeowner who's in distress. The problem could be the, fill in the blank. So that's the business we're in. And I think when you look at your business, and that's how you've been probably be able to grow so well, Nancy, is that you look at your business, go, what problems can I solve? And how do I differentiate myself from everyone else? I mean, you invite the family back to the house after you've renovated. I've never heard that before. I've been in this business as long as you. I've never heard that before. Maybe I just live under a rock, but I love that. Like, that's awesome. That's so cool.
And they love it. And the family feels
beautiful.
Because, especially if you're dealing with somebody that, they've lived in their home for a long time. We work with a lot of elderly people too. And families that have to move mom and dad out of the family home. And there's always, they see value, but it's not monetary, it's sentimental. And, if you just go in there and try to make a buck off of that, you're not doing a service for them, and they're not going to do business with you. I mean, if they're desperate, you know what I mean? But, most people that I know that are successful, they just take a little bit of time. And could I do more deals? Sure, I could. But I also do this because I like doing it, and it gives me self-satisfaction. And I'm a problem solver. That's what I like doing. Yeah,
that's very cool.
One of the things I would say to all the gals out there is I do meet a lot of people, and they're like, they just can't figure out what to do in this business. And it's kind of like, well, you can't be all things to all people. That's why I don't do traditional real estate listing. If I did that, I wouldn't have time for all these other things, right? Buyer's agents, you got to have a certain personality for that. That's not me. But you know what? I have people that can do that. I can refer people out. That's, and you have to kind of know what your limits are. And mine is problem solving. So as women or men that are getting into this industry, just know, kind of just start talking with the people, and then find someone that can help you figure out what to do with that property or that situation. And, sometimes it's not about buying the house. Sometimes it's about, helping them find other resources. We worked with one family that they had a disabled son, and they just, they were struggling with bills, and, we got a social worker involved. I mean, I don't know how to do all that, but I have resources and I have contacts so that we can help people kind of move on. The house is just one issue in a lot of people's lives. It just happens to be the one that really, is the most costly to them. But if you can kind of help them move on with their life, that's if you get, yes, you are making money, but you also have a sense of community and
duty.
Better.
Very cool. I I love what you're saying. I think that's so important. You have so much insight to share. And I know you just wrote a wonderful book called Winning Deals and Heels. Love the title, get that vision. And your cover is awesome, by the way. I love your cover.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what we're going to do today, and I'd love for you to share how ladies can learn more about you. But what we're going to do for the ladies listening, that you're going to have a little challenge here. So the first woman listening to this, sorry guys, but it really should be a woman. It's Women in Heels is the book. So Winning Deals and Heels. So, but if heels are your thing, cool. But the task is send me an email. You can send it at info@therealestateinvesther.com. And you're going to email the first woman to email me or us the action they're going to take as a result of today's episode. Okay. So the first woman for the first email I'm going to get, they're going to win a book, and they're going to get a signed copy from Nancy.
Yes.
And listen, I'm not that nice.
You're not that nice. Okay. I'm the nice one. All right. What, Andressa, what do they have to do? So the business plan?
I want a copy, a picture of your action already taken.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I want to see you, hugging the seller, or, having the report built, or something that, because, a lot of people promise that they're going to do something, but they don't
do it. All right.
And I think that is not just, you don't need to prove anything for me, to Liz or Nancy. You got to just do it for yourself.
Okay. So, all right. I like that.
Nancy shares so many important things that we can apply in our lives right now. And I really want you to do it and share with us. What was your experience?
Okay. I love it.
All right.
That's a good one. I like it.
All right. So info@therealestateinvesther. And don't just send me what you're going to do, because Andressa just poo-pooed my idea. But you're going to actually send us a picture or proof that you did take action as a result of today. And Nancy did just lay down like 30 nuggets. So if you can't take action from anything that you just heard, I would be shocked. And Nancy, how can the ladies listening learn more about all the cool things you're up to and all those wonderful things?
So they can visit me on my website, which is kbnhomes.com. I also run a meetup here, a RIA meetup here. If they're in the Dallas area, they can PM me or contact me through my website. And we meet the first Wednesday of every month. Hope to have another meetup going on pretty soon.
Yes.
And I'm out and about a lot. I'm available and just love to talk. And if there's anybody out there that wants to just reach out and talk with me more, but getting to my website, you can reach me there, learn about all of me. I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn, and so reach out. I love hearing from other real estate investors, and of course, they can always go to Amazon.com and purchase the book. And
I'll put a link in there.
I want to kind of let your listeners know is that part of the proceeds benefit Hope Store here in Plano, Texas, which is a shelter that helps women get back on their feet, families and women from domestic violence.
Very cool.
Beautiful. We'll put a link for them as well. Yeah. So everything that you're hearing right now, we're going to put the notes for you to check it out later. And now we're going to transition to our fabulous 3 questions. So the first one, Nancy, is what's the most transformational book you have ever read?
Oh, well, there's so many. I'm going to say 2 of them. 10X by Grant Cardone. Love him, and then I just finished The 4 Agreements, and I love it.
Okay.
I think everyone should try, if everyone read that book and strived to the 4 Agreements, this world would be a happy place.
I think I want to tattoo those 4 agreements on my, wrist.
I know, I love it. Yeah, love it.
It's great. The second question is, what's the most powerful routine you do to create a financially free and balanced life?
I stay open-minded. I take a little bit of risk, a calculated risk, and I'm always open to new ideas. When we're talking about all these problems and solving, I like the financial freedom of what I do. Mm-hmm. It does come with a little of risk, financially. I've been doing this, like I said, for 15 years. I love it. So I think just doing your due diligence, because if you do your due diligence up front, whether you're buying a property, leasing a property, you're just going to minimize your financial risk. And if you keep doing that, it's going to pay off.
Beautiful. And the last question is, which woman, famous or not, has inspired you the most?
Oh my goodness. Well, this is probably going to be dating myself. So I'm trying to think of her name. You guys might have to help me with her name. She was, this is really going to be dating myself. Gloria Steinem, only because I grew up in the Midwest and we didn't have a lot of female role models. And I just like the fact that she stood up there, and there was a reporter that was in that same era, and they were like one of the first females. Now, Gloria, over the years, but there weren't a lot of role models back in the day. And even if they were a little bit out there, at least you had women speaking up. The lady that was my mentor, she was a great, she's passed away, but she was a great person. So I would have to say just, the reporter I'm thinking of, her name was Jessica, and her last name is escaping me. But she was a really good person because she was just out there. She was one of the first females that did overseas assignments. And so I would have to say those two women, And, kind of looking into the book, is this kind of, and when you go to real estate conferences and things, you'll see that most of the speakers are men. And there are so many successful women in this industry. And, it's kind of shocking to me that not more of them are out front. There might be one or two. I just personally did I help people with their small dollar IRAs to grow them. And I got invited to a panel, and I was the only woman of 7 men. Now, I was honored to be on that panel, but, I'm by far not the smartest lady out there about how to coordinate your small dollar IRAs and do deals with small dollar IRAs. So I'm kind of making it a mission to get the women voice out there about investing. So
let's hold hands, because we're on this journey.
Well, that's what we're up to. That's what we're all about here. And we're excited to be on it with you and all the ladies listening to this. And, if you're not involved with our Facebook community, we have over 800 women. It's free. It's just get support. It's just go to Invest Her community in Facebook. We have meetups. Nancy's, going to be leading one in Dallas. We have some amazing ladies leading them. So and we have a lot more coming, and that's what we're about, is creating more women thought leaders. Cause you're right. It's always one woman out of 9 men. And that's not going to help promote kind of growth, and especially that women outlive men. So but thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for sharing so much great insight. Thank you for taking a stand for women. So we appreciate you. We're excited to do a lot of cool things with you. And thanks for your time today.
All right. Well, and thank you guys too. I appreciate it. And everybody get out there and get that book and start investing.
Thank you so much, Nancy.
All right. Thanks,
bye-bye.
Nancy. Bye now.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to receive updates on our next interviews, go to our website, therealestateinvestor.com. There, you can subscribe to our show, become part of our investor community, and get updates on upcoming episodes.
If you like our show, please share with other women who would benefit. And don't forget to leave us a rating on iTunes. We'd really appreciate it. And as always, we encourage you to take one action as a result of today's show and put it into motion so you can live both a financially free and balanced life. Thanks for spending time with us.
Ciao.